Welcome back to the Safe RVing channel. And today we're going to talk about the 12 minutes that stand between you and becoming the next headline. Last week, as I've recorded this, an RV blew a tire on I-15 near the Nevada-Arizona line, crossed the center line into oncoming traffic, hit a semi, caught fire. It was a tragic accident. And, as a safety professional, we often learn what causes a lot of these incidents. More importantly, and I want to focus on that for a second before we get into the episode, because that's important. Everyone automatically defaults to what caused this. What I want to encourage you to do when we experience failures with our equipment, with our travel trailer, or near misses, or even minor fender benders. Hopefully it isn't something serious, but every one of those little misses, we want to jump on them when they're small, okay? And instead of saying what went wrong, we need to ask, what could have prevented that? How could I have stopped that? How could I have caught that, right? That mindset is very important. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. All right. Like I said, mindset, okay? Very important. And the mindset shift that I want to leave you with today, your tow vehicle and your trailer are not one machine, right? They are two separate pieces of equipment connected together by something. Now, if you have a van, you have maybe a Super C, you have a Class A, obviously it's all wrapped up into one. Really, the main focus for this episode is going to be anything that we're towing, right, behind us. And so, look, you've got a hitch, you've got a set of chains, you've got a wiring harness, you've got maybe weight distribution, sway control. You've got all these components in between. So you have whatever you're towing is its own separate thing. The actual structure, it's got a chassis, it's got an axle, it's got a frame, it's got lights, it's got brakes, all of that. And then of course your tow vehicle, same thing. Independent systems. And then you're going to connect them somehow. That's the only thing that's connecting them. And you think about how fragile that can be, especially with some of the weights that we're talking about with some of these RVs, even fifth wheels, is that little point of contact. That's it. That's it. So with that, if we think of it that way, we think, okay, this can be a very fragile, tenuous situation. So every one of those connection points is a place where something can maybe even quietly go wrong between the driveway and the highway, right? When we pull out and we get on the road, something could happen. And so I want to think about those as failure points. Those are possible failure points, right? Anytime two things have to be connected, that there's an opportunity for a potential failure. A full pre-departure walk around takes about 10 to 15 minutes. Compare that to the alternative. Being stuck on the side of the road, a sway event at 65 miles per hour, or worse, right? This isn't extra work. This is the cheapest insurance that you're going to have on your rig and your tow vehicle, okay? The walk around. Okay, man, truck drivers, over the road truck drivers have an acronym for this. It's called GOAL. Get out and look. That's it. Have a really good pre-departure walk around. I do it every time. I have a pattern so I don't miss anything. Okay. I'm always I'll tell my wife if I don't do it myself, hey, hit the hazards, checking the lights, signals, all of that good stuff. Yeah. But I'm always checking the tires, check the tire pressure. I check my connections, everything, all of this whole walk around routine that I have before I get in the seat and drive away. Okay. So a free insurance policy, if you will. And so that's what we want to build. We want to build that habit piece by piece. Most people glance at the hitch. I don't think that's good enough. I think we can do better. And here's why. A coupler that looks latched can still be sitting on top of the ball versus locked around it. Maybe it got caught, hung up or something. Maybe it's cracked. When was the last time you inspected that piece? You can't tell from just a couple, 3 feet away. You've got to get down there and you've got to put your hands on this stuff and get under there and look. So the rule is simple. Physically touch every component. Physically touch every component. Grab the coupler, try to lift it off the ball. Check that the locking mechanism is fully engaged, not just resting closed. Inspect the safety chains. Do you use a cotter pin? I like the locking mechanism on the latch on the hitch versus just a pin, a cotter pin. Just one more step somebody was going to have to take to try to maybe steal your travel trailer or get it disconnected. And so, look, make sure your chains, your safety chains are inspected. Do you have the tag and the load rating on that safety chain as well? Make sure that you either preserve that or maintain it and keep it in your glove box if you don't want the tag to be destroyed on the road. Get a photo of it and keep it in the glove box maybe if you have to, but be able to produce that information if you're asked for it. Inspect those safety chains, cross them under the coupler. Everybody knows that. Create that basket. So if it ever fails, the chains will cradle the tongue instead of letting it hit the pavement. Chains are required for that reason. So don't skip the chains, okay? It's not optional gear. It's a backup system for your backup system. Breakaway cable, the most skipped step on the list in my experience. Here's what I want you to actually think about because it's the step that I have seen myself firsthand, neighbors at a campsite, whatever, just blow right past this piece. If your trailer ever separates, and you know this, from your tow vehicle, whether it's hitch failure, chain failure, doesn't matter, that cable is what triggers your trailer's brakes automatically. No cable, no automatic braking. Your trailer becomes an unguided multi-ton object just hauling down the road under zero control. Not good. So attach it directly to the tow vehicle, not looped around the chains, right? Not clipped to something that's convenient, to the tow vehicle. Every trip, no exceptions. I've had folks tell me they don't even hook it to the actual tow bar or tow latch. Okay, because if that thing fails, I mean, that's a pretty bad situation. If the entire tow bar comes off of your tow vehicle, they've identified another area under the rear end where they attach it to. But look, everybody's got their own little logic that they use on that. Just attach it to your tow vehicle. Make sure it's attached, not to any of the other components that could also fail and be separated from your vehicle. So don't double up latching stuff together. They each have to be independently latched to something, if that makes sense. All right, tongue weight. That number prevents sway, right? That's important. We're going to talk about tongue weight because trailer sway is one of the most common and most preventable causes of loss of control accidents. The target is 10 to 15% of your trailer's total weight sitting on that hitch. Always check your tow vehicle's limitations, of course. All right? Always check that first. Too little tongue weight, and the trailer starts to hunt side to side at speed a little bit, like just little wobbles looking for a place to go. That's sway. Too much, and you overload your tow vehicle's rear axle and mess with your steering, so you get light in the front end, and braking is going to be problematic there. So you're either going to sway up front, little light in the steering and loss of control, or it's going to want to lift up off of that ball and it's going to sway. It's going to push your rear end around. All right. So you don't need to eyeball this. Get on a scale, or you can buy a tongue scale, and you can actually use one of these. They're relatively inexpensive, and you can you can actually get the tongue weight when your rig is fully loaded, and you can see, oh, this is exactly what is going to be sitting on my hitch, right? Plenty of truck stops, cat scales, will do it for a few dollars. I don't know. Well, I haven't checked the prices lately. Drop it in the comments if you've got a pretty good rundown on average cost now for these scales. But load your heavy items low, right? Get them as low as possible. So we're talking basement storage, things like that, not up into the camper, because of the higher center of gravity on heavier loads, but low and toward the front of your trailer, over the axles. Um, that single number, right, tongue weight, is doing more to keep you in your lane than almost anything else on the list that we're going to cover. All right, let's move to tires. This quick rundown, by the way, tires, not just tread. All right, everyone looks at the tread. Yes, tread is important. Most RVers check tread depth, call it done. That's incomplete. RV tires often fail from age before they ever wear out. Think about it. And now, if you're full timing and you're on the road constantly, okay, you're probably going to have more wear, like your vehicle, right? Would if you drive your vehicle all the time. A lot of RVers, the majority of RVers, they take their RV out, travel trailer, fifth wheel, periodically. The tires aren't going to wear as much as the age is going to get you. All right. So sidewall dry rot, weather cracking, these rigs sit for weeks or months between trips. A tire can look fine and still be a blowout waiting to happen just because of that age, sitting in the sun, that pressure put on that sidewall. And any of us that have left our rigs over the winter, and then we go to check it out for the spring, one of the first things we do is we get the compressor out and we just top the tires off because it's been sitting all winter, and creating that pressure point from long-term sitting. Check the manufacturer date that's stamped on the sidewall of the tire. So if a tire is over 5 years old, get it inspected by a professional. Me, even if the tread looks great, we swap ours out. Swap ours out at 5 years. That's what we do. Some say 3, some say 4. If you got the money for that, hey, if you're rolling on new skins that all the time, that's awesome. No problem with that. I mean, nobody says you can't be too safe with the tires, right? So make sure you do that. Check that date stamp that's on the sidewall. Check the pressure cold. This is another thing you want to do, is check it cold. And then load your rig. Okay, load your rig. Check the pressure before you go. If your rig has tire pressure monitoring, TPMS, use it, but don't let it replace the physical check. Don't. See, the problem I have with a lot of this technology and these monitoring and self-monitoring is they're great. It's a great early warning. It's another layer of protection. Remember, we need to be thinking of safety in terms of layers of protection. Okay? Safety isn't we say it in workplace safety all the time, as a career safety professional. Safety isn't just that nothing went wrong. It's not the absence of an incident, right? Safety is layers of protection, right? That's all. It's the presence of defenses. So TPMS is a layer of defense. We still have to do our walk around, our physical check. Very important. Do not skip it. Do not let over-reliance on the technology and the monitoring and AI and all this other stuff and apps replace physically getting our eyes and hands on our rig before we go. All right. So don't let it replace the physical check. Can't say that enough. Low speed brake test. This is another one people miss a lot. Before you merge onto the highway, before you get out on the road, do this. Get an empty stretch of maybe the campground if you're leaving, a parking lot, or down your residential street. If you're leaving your street and it's a quiet street, you can do this. But basically, get to about 10 miles per hour and then firmly apply the brake. So what you're doing is you're listening and feeling for two things. The trailer should brake smoothly with no jerking or pulling to one side, no delays. And if something feels off, you want to learn this at about 10 miles an hour in a parking lot, not 65 on the interstate merging into traffic, and you have to hit your brakes to get in, to fit into an opening. Always check that, all right, as you are pulling away. Uh, um, Come up with a checklist. You can just Google checklists. You can, there are apps that help you do this as well. I have a service that I pay for that I use for trip planning, but it also has inspection checklists on what to check and do your walk around. But make it religious every time. Do that walk around. Physically touch all of your components. I actually talk to myself. I say this stuff out loud when I go around and I check. I go chain, driver side, and then when I go to the other side, chain, passenger side. I tug on it. I check the little clips to make sure the spring clips are working. They're not loose, and need to be replaced. All that good stuff. But make it just a fun routine, something that you're going to really be glad that you did, and you will catch things just by going and touching and looking and feeling around your rig as you do your walk around. The tires, the other thing you can do is with the little infrared heat gun. You stop to get gas, have that thing handy in the truck, in the cab, get out to get gas and hit those hubs to check for, they're going to be warm, right? They're going to generate heat on the road, on the highway. That's normal. What's not normal is that three of them are all tracking around the same temperature, and then you've got one of your hubs, if it's a tandem axle, and one of them is 50 degrees hotter. Stuff like that. You're looking for that inconsistency. Also checking the tires. This stuff happens to tires on the road, hitting ruts and whatnot, damage to sidewall, things like that. But I did a walk around and saw, after we got to Michigan roads, oh my God, you want to tear up a tire, drive through Michigan. And we got up there, and once we got to our location, I did a walk around. We backed in, did a walk around, and I found some tire damage to one of my tires. We were going to be there for 5 days, I think, something like that. Have tire coverage. I called somebody, came and replaced the tire while we were there. Luckily, it worked out. It could have been bad. I could have not seen that or noticed that and tried to drive back and had a blowout. So you will catch a lot of things just by getting out and looking. That's your goal. Get out and look. Let me know what you think. Drop your tips, share with others, and I'll see you on the next episode.